Hello, Project Likkutei Torah, short daf summary for daf 33 of Parshas Behaaloscha. Now, we finished the discourse about the menorah, how it was entirely made of gold, and how it represents the Jewish people. And very powerful insights, how the seven shepherds, so to speak, or should I remember the seven tzaddikim, the seven ushpizim that we have on Sukkot, also Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, etc., down to Moshe, they act as shepherds, so to speak. They shepherd and help draw down the godliness of the seven attributes of Hashem down into and help into the Jewish people and help the Jewish people internalize the message. And specifically the seven branches of the menorah represents these seven emotional attributes, and specifically each branch needs to have a receptacle, a kli, in order to hold the oil and the wick, which represent the mitzvahs. And the light represents the Torah. So the whole idea is that the oil and wick, in order to illuminate the candle, so to speak, in order to illuminate the mitzvahs, we need the Torah. So that's why in order to illuminate the mitzvah of Shabbos, we learn the Gemara, the tractate on Shabbos. In order to illuminate the mitzvahs related to Passover, we learn the Gemara, the tractate of Psachim, etc., etc. Now, just transitioning to another short discourse from today's daf, very fascinating, about the fish. When Moses told Hashem that how can I provide all this meat for the Jewish people, 600,000, no way, and how can I provide the fish? So very simple, basic question, why did Moshe even have to mention fish? Because the Jewish people didn't even complain about not having fish, they just wanted meat, they didn't want fish. So a very fascinating explanation that spiritually meat is so physical and rooted in physicality that it's very hard to elevate unless you're on a very lofty madrega, lofty level. That's why ignoramuses shouldn't eat meat, as it's brought in the Talmud, but rather Torah scholars should eat meat. But even then, it's still hard to really uplift and elevate the meat for holiness, because it's so rooted in the physicality. So that's why we practically have fish before the meat course, typically. And by having the fish first, the fish are essentially beef of the sea, in a certain sense. They're animals of the sea, in the sense that they're equivalent to animals, except one difference is that they live in the sea. So what's the sea? The sea is represents the concealed world, because everything in the sea is covered with water. So it represents a higher level of spirituality that how much higher than the animals that roam on the earth. And that's why when one eats fish first and then the meat, it can open up their neshama and help them transition, so to speak, to being able to properly elevate the meat. And this is also tangentially related to why in the whole story in this Parshas Behaaloscha, that the Hashem gave the Jewish people this bird called the slav. He gave them meat. They wanted meat. They wanted to be involved in the physicality, completely entrenched in physicality. But he gave them instead this bird. Which is meat, but it was a bird that's very fatty. It's called the slav, and it was so fatty that that one of the loaves, it would get so entrenched in fat that you wouldn't even be able to eat it on its own because it would just be so fatty. But that represents the fusion of chesed, which is connected to the oil, and gevura, which is connected to the meat. And specifically the fact that it's a bird, which was something that flies in the air, much more of a spiritual being than, let's say a cow, for example, that's completely invested in the physicality. That was just a small taste of the daf. There's so much more to talk about, but I hope you listen to the full class and have a wonderful day.